I want to let you in all on something a little personal. Let me set the scene. It was dark, the kind of dark that makes you wonder if sunrise is actually promised. Incense wafted around the room and candles lit every corner. Warm water filled the tub. He held me, and our bodies swayed to the rhythm of deep, instrumental music. I had imagined this scene in my mind so many times, and here we were. I felt so beautiful, so powerful. My body quivered more than once. I roared like a tiger. And after it was over, we curled up on the sofa and ate strawberries and quiche. By noon, the fall sun was high, and we relaxed on the back deck. It was a near-perfect day. It was the day that I gave birth in my living room. I'm transformed because of the care that I received during my pregnancies. Highly trained midwives, experts in physiologic birth, who trusted me and my body. Midwives who came into my home week after week and set up shop. They took my blood pressure on the couch, engaged my 4-year-old in belly measurements. They familiarized themselves with my snack cabinet and my linen closet so that when that Labor Day came, they could move around this space like ninjas. Do not get me wrong, it was hard. But I gave birth on my own terms twice. And it changes how I walk into a room. I wish this were a more familiar story. I wish it were commonplace for people to feel enveloped in a physical and emotional sanctuary as they cross that threshold into parenthood. I wish queer and trans folks felt safe and affirmed in their health care. I wish men were included in reproductive care. I wish it were all designed with safety and love at the center. Now, I'm a public health person by training. I've spent the last 20 years studying the data and deepening my understanding of how racism and capitalism influence our health. I'm making a choice to not get into all that today. It can be hard to hear. But I want to say this one piece. I want to be real clear. When it comes to reproductive health, the US has terrible outcomes compared to other economically advantaged countries. It's not working well for anyone. And because of structural racism, Black folks are more likely to experience bad outcomes. Shortly after my first home birth, I was at lunch with a mentor of mine, an elder Black midwife, sharing my birth story and reflecting on how different it felt from the stories of my peers and from the data that we both knew so well. She responded by telling me that back in the day, she and other midwives had a vision for a community birth center in Roxbury. A birth center? I was incredulous that I had a graduate degree in maternal and child health and had not yet learned about birth centers. Come to find out, a birth center is a home-like facility, freestanding from the hospital, providing full-spectrum midwifery care. That means family planning, medical abortion, gender-affirming care, prenatal care, labor, delivery, postpartum, menopausal care, and it can all be covered by insurance. Since that fateful lunch, we've been working together to open that birth center. I began to read everything I could about birth centers, from how to start one to study after study after study about outcomes. Over the last 10 years, I have visited every birth center I could from coast to coast, dragging my family to any birth center within a 1-hour radius of wherever we were on vacation. Here's what I learned. I learned that birth centers meet a triple aim. They return significant cost savings to the healthcare system, demonstrate better experiences, and better outcomes. I learned that the US has actively divested from midwifery, even though it's an evidence-based strategy to improve public health and advance racial equity. And I cringed as I learned that midwives across the country foot the bill, self-financing the startup, working 90 hours a week, and often going without a salary. And I've come to understand that policy change is how we create a more sustainable business model. I've also come to realize that for many, this conversation about moving birth back outside of the hospital is a paradigm shift. A few years back, a Black woman said to me suspiciously, I don't know. That sounds like it's for crunchy white ladies. And I was like, oh, shoot, she's not wrong. Nearly everyone I know who gave birth outside of the hospital is white, including my mom, who's a crunchy white lady. Midwifery as a profession and as a care option has gotten pretty white. But it wasn't always this way. Again, cue the implications of racism and capitalism. I say with my whole chest that every community needs a birth center. When we reintegrate midwifery in the community, we have the potential to heal generations. Reproductive justice is a framework that invites us to consider how and when and whether we choose to parent and how we're tended to in those moments, and how all of that matters for our public health, our economy, our climate, and our collective future. So what's possible when we remove racism and capitalism from the equation? What does liberated care look like? What's possible when people receive care in a place explicitly designed to heal? Neighborhood Birth Center aims to answer these questions. We believe that the world we want to live in, from a healthy family to a healthy planet, requires radical reimagination and the equitable redistribution of capital and power. Let's be clear. So we're experimenting with the redesign of healthcare in a small corner of Roxbury. And we're operating from a markedly different set of values: safety, abundance, and liberation. And I submit to you that Roxbury is the exact location where this level of luxury care and this reclamation of Black history belongs. We're nestling the birth center in a sort of community commons, a shared property with gardens, a communal kitchen, meeting rooms, even a podcast room. Several organizations have pooled our resources to do together what no one organization could do alone, to create a beautiful and sustainable intergenerational home for movement organizing. Along the way, our architects have taught me that space is not neutral. Design can facilitate or inhibit equity. Space can curate joy. It can hold grief. Birth can be hard and messy, and we are designing this space to feel like it rises up to meet you in those hard and messy moments. We are in a crisis of maternal health, and birth centers save lives. I'm going to say that again. We are in a crisis of maternal health, and birth centers save lives. But across the country, and right here in the Commonwealth, we have seen more closures than ribbon cuttings in recent years. It is infuriating. I have to constantly reorient myself from scarcity to abundance. Enter my staff, board, and partners, a wildly diverse group of folks who have come together because we know our liberation is bound to one another. We know that no one's healthcare is optimal while the system fails Black women. As Maya Angelou taught us, no one of us is free until we are all free. I want to live in a world where every community has a thriving birth center, where midwives, particularly Black and brown midwives, are tending to their communities, themselves made whole with competitive salaries and paid time off, where longer appointments and postpartum home visits are the norm, both key to better experiences and better outcomes. When I close my eyes and I think about this sanctuary for birth and wellness here in Roxbury, I feel sunlight streaming in through French doors into the birth suite. Those French doors open to a labor garden. I feel the warmth of an all-season solarium, lush with greenery for when these Boston winters are unfavorable to bare bellies. I hear the sounds of people birthing in whatever position feels most supportive to them, on all fours on a queen-size bed, in a walk-in shower with multiple shower heads, or in a bubbling tub. I hear Haitian aunties heating up soup in our beautiful kitchen for that first postpartum meal. I hear circles of expectant fathers kicking it in Spanish, sharing their worries and receiving assurance from seasoned fathers. I see a married woman tended to by a chaplain in our sanctuary after her choice to terminate a pregnancy. I see a young boy in awe of his mother's power, simultaneously learning about the care and history of midwives. The Irish grandmother, herself a midwife, is there. She lays a cool cloth to her grandchild's brow. I see our queer Black neighbor, first-time parent, encircled by their chosen family with their new baby, skin to skin. And I see elder neighbors and high school passersby passing a birth lantern lit at the end of the driveway. A small flickering light turned on by the new parent to signal to the whole community that a new baby is earthside. And I imagine when we all see that lantern lit day after day, night after night, in community after community from coast to coast, that we begin to heal, knowing that just on the other side of that garden, people are receiving safe and affirming care. Listen, I know this is a stark contrast from our current healthcare system, but it is our past, and I promise you, it is our future.